Good morning, sports bettors. Matt Modi here with OddsJam, here to give you some Sunday night football player props to lock in for Sunday night football. Seems logical, makes a lot of sense. We have the Giants versus Commanders. Somehow, an NFC East game where both teams have winning records, both teams have 7 wins, yet somehow it just feels like a very boring game, mostly because the Commanders are hot, so I'm not going to take anything away from them. Mostly because the Giants are the opposite of hot. They're like 1-4-1 in their last 6 games after starting 6-1. The Commanders are on the opposite streak. They realize that their team is significantly better without Carson Wentz at quarterback. So he got hurt. Taylor Heineke put the Commanders on a huge win streak. Naturally, they benched Carson Wentz. So the Commanders are a legitimately good team at this point. I don't think they can do much in the playoffs because I still think Heineke is too limited, but we're not talking about playoffs. We're talking about the game tonight. So the first player prop that I am going to lock in here, I've actually already locked it in, as you can see the check mark next to it. Isaiah Hodgins over 32.5 player receiving yards. So Isaiah Hodgins, receiver for the Giants, whose receiving core has just been totally decimated over the course of the season. The OddsJam no vig line prices this at about plus 100.5, almost exactly at plus 100.5, and we are getting it at plus 104. And these no vig odds, important to understand that they are pulled from the sharpest sportsbooks in the world. Basically, OddsJam back-tested thousands and thousands of betting opportunities, with the logic being, hey, we're gonna some sportsbooks are better at pricing odds than others, so we're going to test the living crap out of a bunch of data, right? Thousands of betting opportunities over a long period of time, as a very large sample size of determining, all right, what are these smart books? Which are the sharp ones? Once we determine that, based on, again, a ton of data, we're going to use those sharp sports books to set the market moving forward, saying, all right, if every single sharp sportsbook has, on average, something priced this way, in this case, plus 100, and we are able to get it on another book, in this case, Caesars at plus 104, that's going to represent a profitable betting opportunity. That's positive expected value betting right there. Betting on an outcome that we know, as the sports bettor, has a better chance of occurring than the reflected odds of the sportsbook, which is a mouthful. All that means is that we know this should be priced at plus 100. We're getting it at plus 104. That means profit. And then what you want to do, because you can look at this and immediately know that it's positive EV, right? Like if it shows up on this page, you're going to know that it's positive EV. So the additional research that I recommend doing, and I don't mean look into the matchups and who's going to guard him and his player prop history, anything like that. I simply mean if you click open the markets, you can compare the bet that we are placing to the rest of the sports books, right? So again, we're getting it at plus 104. Look at every other book and where they price it. Pinnacle, you want to look at as the sharpest sports book in the world. Pinnacle is viewed as the sharpest, so we give them the heaviest weight in terms of how these are pulled in the weighted average. They price the over at minus 116. They price the under at minus 114. They're favoring it going over. They think that the over is the more likely scenario by a little bit, with minus 116 versus minus 114, still favoring the over. And keep in mind, we're getting it at plus 104. So if this bet does hit 50% of the time, we are profiting because of the odds at plus 104. And then look at the rest of the sports books. It's even money each way, minus 115 each way, minus 113 each way, minus 115, minus 115. So every other sports book is saying, we don't know what side is more likely. We don't know if he's going over or under. We don't know what's more likely, so we're just going to price it at exactly 50-50. Again, we are getting it at plus money. So if it does hit 50% of the time, we are profiting. And then what you want to do for a play like this, where it's yards, where the numbers can kind of vary between what sportsbooks actually price the yards itself. We see a lot of them have his yardage at 32.5. Some might have it different. So if you view this event page in a new tab, it pulls up where every sportsbook is pricing his yardage prop at. So in this case, it looks like the other sportsbooks that price it, looks like there are 3 of them that actually price it at 30 and 29. So that is against what we are pricing it at, but this plus 104 is still a good price to the sharpest sportsbook in the world and to the majority of the other sportsbooks, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have it at 32.5, either favoring it going over or 50-50, whereas 3 have it below this number Granted, PointsBet favors it going over at 30.5, as does BetRivers at 29.5. So this isn't a complete and total mix slam, but it still is a good play. So I put $50 on it. I put 50. That's half a unit for me. The next play that we are not going to lock in because the odds changed on me, which is unfortunate. I was going to lock in this Darius Slayton one. So just going to have this Isaiah Hodgins receiving yards for you guys. And that's it for the Sunday Night Football game. So if you're tailing this, comment and let me know. And that's all I got. So appreciate everybody watching and have a good one.